Have you ever seen a Champions League race as close as this? Hello guys, and welcome back to yet another video. Today we are talking about the Champions League race in the Premier League. With just 2 games to go, there's still 6 teams jostling for 4 positions in the Premier League, hoping to get into the Champions League for the 25-26 season. It's crazy. So we're going to talk about it today and see if we can work out who is going to make it into the Champions League for next season. Guys, be sure to get your thoughts down in the comments. Let me know, get your predictions in. Which 4 teams are qualifying with Liverpool for the Champions League? Go on, get in the comments. It takes 2 seconds. And before we get into the video, do hit the like button. It takes 2 seconds, and let's go for 2,000 likes. Every thumbs up really helps myself and the channel, and make sure you're subscribed if you haven't already. We are this close to 99,000 subscribers, and if we can hit 100k before the end of next week, that would be amazing. So please be sure to get involved if you haven't already. Like, subscribe and predict, and let's have a look at this. So then, as you can see next to me, this is the state of play. Obviously the teams below 7th, they can't get into the Champions League. They can't even get into the top 7. So the first thing I have to say is fair play to this top 7 for wrapping up some form of European football for next season. Look at Nottingham Forest, guaranteed to be in Europe, and Aston Villa for the 3rd season running as well in a European competition. But look how close it is when it comes to who's going to get into that top 5, because as we know, top 5 get Champions League this season, 6th Europa League, 7th Conference League, and obviously there are teams like Crystal Palace, Manchester United and Tottenham who could qualify for Europe this season through other competitions right now. But what we are focusing on today is this segment from 2nd to 7th, where right now there's 6 points separating 6 teams, and like I say, 4 Champions League places on the line. Obviously Liverpool have won the league, fair play to them, they've secured their place in the Champions League, but who would have thought Arsenal would get dragged into this race? We thought they'd already done it, we thought they'd already finished 2nd, but a little drop off in form has just opened this question up. We're going to come on to fixtures in a second, and I've got to be honest, if Arsenal don't make it, I'd be astonished. I think they're surely going to do it. They do play Newcastle next at home, and if they were to lose, there would be a strong chance that Arsenal go into the final day without wrapping up their Champions League place yet. Arsenal are the favourites, of course, because of the points on the board, and to be fair to them, last time out, 2-2 draw at Liverpool, good comeback to be fair. Newcastle United were the biggest winners of the last weekend because they won a head-to-head game against Chelsea, and it's put them 3 points clear of 6th place. And the crucial thing here is goal difference. If you're Arsenal, if you're Newcastle, if you're Man City or Chelsea, and you get to 69 points, that's probably enough, because Aston Villa's goal difference isn't going to catch up to yours, is it? So like I say, Newcastle in a strong position. They take on Arsenal next, and there is a possibility that Newcastle don't win that and go into the final day needing a result. As I say, we will come on to the fixtures in a second. Manchester City have made this conversation even more interesting as they failed to beat Southampton. A 0-0 draw away from home has meant that Manchester City are still in a slightly precarious position. On paper, their fixtures look okay, but there is a real possibility here that this weekend coming, they could fall out of the top 5 going into the final day. That is not what you want, because then it's out of your hands. Chelsea of course lost to Newcastle, not a good result for them. Chelsea can take a sigh of relief though that Manchester City and Nottingham Forest didn't win against bottom 3 opposition. Chelsea do play Forest on the final day. We'll come on to that one, that could be huge. Aston Villa, Aston Villa's win is probably the most impressive win, in my opinion, from the last weekend, because I didn't fancy them. Is that just me being stupid and not backing them when I should have done? Maybe, but I thought they would draw at Bournemouth. Remember, the week before, Bournemouth went to Arsenal and won, and Bournemouth have been a difficult obstacle to navigate past. Great win for Villa, with Ollie Watkins getting the goal. There was a red card, of course, for Ramsey, but Villa got those 3 points over the line. And if Villa win these final 2 games, which are against Manchester United and Tottenham, who have really dropped off in the Premier League, then 69 points should be enough for Aston Villa, unless the teams above them are all pretty flawless. Finally then, we have Nottingham Forest, who are in 7th place, and yes, I get that some people will look at Forest and go, they've blown it. They really haven't. They've still got a big chance. Yes, they've let it sort of slip away from them, and maybe it's not necessarily in their hands, But the big thing is, they still have to play Chelsea on the final day. And so long as Chelsea don't open up a big gap in game week 37 this weekend coming, then Forest can still make that overtake on the final day. I still think it's possible. Yes, I know Forest have dropped off a little bit. It wasn't a great performance against Leicester, if we're being honest. Towards the end, they were sort of just trying to get the draw over the line. Leicester City were pushing for the winner. And I do want to touch on the Marinakis situation, by the way, because a lot of people are talking about this online. Is it a good look that Marinakis went on the pitch and it looked like he had an argument with Nuno? It's not very professional, no. But the thing that really does annoy me is how much of a meal the media are now making of this. Yes, as I say, it's not the most professional looking thing, and if you really focus in on it, you might get good numbers and good views because it looks like a bit of an argument between the owner and manager. But the thing is, most of the Nottingham Forest fan base are all behind Marinakis, and Marinakis wants what's best for the club. He is so passionate, and he's not afraid to make himself unpopular or to make himself look stupid. He'll always do what is in the club's interest, in his view. And when you think back to when he got rid of Steve Cooper, remember, a lot of the Forest fan base, a lot of the neutrals, including myself, were like, oh, that's not a good decision, Marinakis. You're going to make yourself very unpopular. And remember, if Nuno had came in and they'd got relegated last season, Marinakis would have had serious egg on his face. But he got the appointment right. He's brought in Nuno. Nuno's worked wonders, and Nuno deserves credit, and Marinakis deserves credit, in my opinion. And look, I know they might not make Champions League, but they are guaranteed to finish in Europe now. So honestly, fair play. I'm sure Marinakis promised that they'd do that when he got them promoted, and it was a bold claim to make, and he's delivered upon it. They could still make the Champions League though. I think they're probably going to have to win their final 2 games. A draw and then a win could be enough, but it will depend on other results. Forest fans, share your thoughts. You've got to try and keep optimistic that you can still do this. You've got nothing to lose now. You're guaranteed to get Europe. Can you just sneak into one of those top 5 places? So they are all of the teams involved. As I say, it stretches down from Arsenal to Forest. Let's have a look at the fixtures coming this week. Like I say, there's only 2 lots of games to go, and these are the fixtures this weekend. Aston Villa take on Tottenham. Now, Aston Villa are in a position where they are playing catch-up in the top 5 race. Do I see them winning at home to Tottenham, who have been really rubbish in the Premier League and have all their focus on the Europa League? I absolutely do. I think Villa win that. Chelsea versus Man United. Similar, again for Chelsea. They are playing Manchester United, who've been dreadful in the Premier League. They look like they might finish 17th, and they're focusing on the Europa League final. I think Chelsea might win. West Ham versus Forest. Not easy for Forest because it's away from home, and West Ham have just picked up a good win at Manchester United. But Forest, I think Forest gets something. They preferably need to win, especially if Chelsea win. Basically, Forest just need to match Chelsea's result to take this to the final day. They can't draw and have Chelsea winning because then the gap won't be shut in the final week. So Forest probably do need to go and win. A draw could be enough depending on other results. This is where things get interesting. Arsenal take on Newcastle. Now, the reason this game is so fascinating is because it's the 2 teams that are at the higher end of this Champions League race, and they can't both win, which will allow a Manchester City, a Chelsea, a Villa, a Forest to make some progress up on the team that doesn't win, the loser, or if they draw. Remember though, we said if you're Arsenal or Newcastle, 69 points is probably enough considering the goal difference that Aston Villa have. So what we're probably going to see here is one of them wrapping up their top 5 place. Whether that's Arsenal draw or win, Arsenal will make it. If Newcastle go and win, then they will make it. The final game here is Manchester City versus Bournemouth, and it might not be straightforward. We've seen Bournemouth go away to Arsenal and win, and last time Man City went away to bottom of the table Southampton and didn't win. We could get some very intriguing results this weekend, and I think it's pretty fair to say this is going to the final day, and probably with most teams still involved. Goodness me, share your thoughts. Let's have a look at the final day fixtures then. Wow, it's fascinating, isn't it? So Manchester City go away to Fulham. Once again, it's not straightforward. I know Fulham have had a little bit of a drop-off recently, but at Craven Cottage, I don't think it's straightforward. Basically, Man City need 4 points from these 2 games. If they lose one of them though, it might make things interesting, mightn't it? And I don't know, Fulham away, Bournemouth at home, they're not straightforward games. Yes, you would imagine Man City should get the job done, but I don't know, it doesn't look straightforward, does it? It's not straightforward. They need 4 points. What happens if they only get 2 or 3? Let's talk about Aston Villa. Aston Villa play Manchester United. I mean, these are probably the 2 fixtures that you want if you're Aston Villa. Maybe other than Southampton and Leicester, but to be fair, Southampton and Leicester have just taken draws off Forest and Man City in the last weekend. So if you're Villa, I think you've got to feel fairly confident that you're going to get 4 points or probably 6 points from these final 2 games. The thing is, they're playing Manchester United and Tottenham either side of the Europa League final. I think the Tottenham game at home is very winnable because Tottenham will be in preparation mode. The Manchester United game is difficult to work out what it's going to be like at this stage. If Man United have just lost the final, they'll want a reaction. They'll want to try and end the season on a high. If they've just won the final, they come into this with real positivity, don't they? And that could be difficult to try and quieten if you're Aston Villa. So I think the Man United game is maybe slightly more difficult, but I still fancy Villa to probably go and win both. And like I say, if they win both, they might get in there. Newcastle take on Everton. Everton, of course, don't have much to play for. The week before, they're playing their final home game of the season against Southampton. I think they win that. I think they go out from Goodison Park on a high, and they might come here with a sort of nothing to lose mentality and go for it. And if Newcastle haven't beaten Arsenal the week before, Newcastle will need something from this game. And I don't know, I mean, Newcastle, of course, are favourites, but on the final day, weird things can happen. Strange things happen, and I wouldn't put it past Everton to go and get something there. So what are you thinking? I've got to say, I think Newcastle probably make it, but I don't know. It might go to the final day, like I say. Here's the best one. Nottingham Forest versus Chelsea. I say it's the best fixture. It might not be very meaningful if the week before Chelsea have won and Forest have lost, because Forest won't be able to catch Chelsea anymore. I really hope Forest can take this to the final day. And if they do, with that home crowd on their side, can they beat Chelsea and make the overtake? I think they could. I really think they could. I know there's not a lot of positivity right now at Forest. There is some, but I know that a lot of people are like, oh, we've blown it. You haven't blown it. So long as you match Chelsea in game week 37 and get something at West Ham, you come into this game able to make the overtake. And that will be one hell of a game. So share your thoughts. The final game, Southampton versus Arsenal. The only way this could really have anything riding on it is if Arsenal do lose to Newcastle the week before. And then if they lost to Southampton as well, then yeah, okay, they could miss out on the top 5. It's not likely, but who knows? Like I say, we've just seen Southampton take a draw off Man City. This would be the biggest crumble I've ever seen if Arsenal miss out on the Champions League now. I don't think they're going to. So let's get into my final hunch. What do I think right now? I think you've got to say Arsenal are going to do it. I think points on the board are really crucial now. I think Newcastle probably do it. I think Man City are likely to do it, but I don't feel 100%. I think they're probably going to do it, but not 100%. And then, honestly, I really can't separate Chelsea, Villa and Forest. I think Villa's fixtures are the nicest. I think if you're Forest, you're frustrated that it's not necessarily in your hands, but it might be. If you beat Chelsea, you might still sneak in there. And even if you could just get up one place to finish 6th, the Europa League is a better competition than the Conference League if you could just still get into that. So we will see. Let's get your comments down below. Who is going to make the Champions League? Get your comments and predictions in. Only 4 teams out of these 6 are going to do it, so let me know your thoughts. Be sure to drop a like and subscribe. It takes 2 seconds and it's massively appreciated if you do. Thank you so much for your support this year. We will be back with more content later today. Take care everyone. Peace out.